What if rubbing a simple gel on your penis could help you get stronger, harder erections, without swallowing a pill, without a prescription, and without the awkward wait time that usually kills spontaneity? It almost sounds like science fiction, but that's exactly what a newly FDA-approved product called Eroxon is designed to do. Unlike Viagra or Cialis, which you need to plan for, Eroxon is available over the counter and works locally, directly where you apply it. It's marketed as the first topical erectile dysfunction treatment cleared in the United States that doesn't require a doctor's prescription. For men who have been frustrated by pills or who can't use them because of medical conditions, this is a big development. The process is simple. A small, pea-sized amount of gel is applied to the tip of the penis. You or your partner rub it in gently for about 15 seconds. The moment it goes on, you'll feel a quick burst of coolness followed by a gradual warming sensation. That's not just a gimmick. The alternating sensations activate the nerve endings in the penis. In response, the body releases nitric oxide, a natural chemical messenger that triggers the erectile process. To understand why this matters, it helps to think about how erections normally work. The penis doesn't just fill with blood automatically. First, there needs to be sexual stimulation, which tells the nerves to release nitric oxide. This chemical relaxes the smooth muscles inside the erectile tissue, which allows blood to rush in and be trapped, creating firmness. Without nitric oxide, the system doesn't even get started. That's why it's sometimes called the ignition switch for erections. Most of the well-known erectile dysfunction pills like Viagra sildenafil and Cialis tadalafil work by protecting nitric oxide's effect, keeping it around longer so the body can respond. But those drugs need to be absorbed into the bloodstream, circulate throughout the body, and take effect. That's why doctors tell men to take them at least 30 minutes, sometimes up to an hour before sex. For couples trying to keep things spontaneous, that delay can be frustrating. Eroxon takes a different approach. Because it's applied directly to the penis, it bypasses the whole systemic process. The warming and cooling sensations act almost like a spark plug, stimulating the release of nitric oxide right at the site. That's why many men report results within just 10 minutes of application. For people who don't want to plan intimacy around a pill schedule, that speed is one of the biggest advantages. But clever marketing alone isn't enough. The real question is whether the gel actually works. The early studies suggest that it does. In February 2023, at the European Society of Sexual Medicine Congress, researchers presented a study comparing Eroxon with tadalafil. The trial followed 100 men across 11 medical centers in the U.S., Poland, Bulgaria, and Georgia. Before the trial began, each man was assessed for the severity of his erectile dysfunction using a validated clinical questionnaire. They were then followed for 24 weeks. By the end of the study, 61% of men using Eroxon showed a clinically meaningful improvement in their erectile function. That means not just a small numerical change, but an improvement they could actually feel during sex. For men taking tadalafil, the number was higher at 87%. But remember, the point of the study wasn't to crown a winner. The real takeaway was that a topical gel, with no drugs circulating through the bloodstream, could help more than half the men achieve stronger erections. Even more striking, many reported that it worked within 10 minutes, which pills almost never do. Another larger study involved 1,000 men across 60 centers in Central and Eastern Europe. This was the trial used to gain FDA clearance. Men were randomly assigned to receive either Eroxon or a placebo gel. Once again, those who used Eroxon saw statistically significant improvements in erectile function. Roughly 60% of users found it effective, and again, speed was a key factor, with many seeing results in under 10 minutes. That kind of rapid response is something men and couples have been asking for. With pills, the window for timing sex can feel restrictive. A spontaneous moment can easily be lost while waiting for the medication to kick in. A gel that works quickly has the potential to change that dynamic. Of course, effectiveness isn't the only concern. Safety matters just as much. So far, the side effect profile looks encouraging. Only about 4% of users reported mild symptoms such as headaches or nausea. None were serious, and the rate was far lower than with tadalafil, where nearly 1 in 5 reported headaches. That difference alone could make Eroxon more attractive to men who dislike the side effects of pills. There are also practical advantages. Eroxon doesn't interfere with condoms, which means it's safe for protected sex. It doesn't cause problems during oral sex, so couples don't need to worry about exposure to a partner. And perhaps most importantly, it's safe for men who take nitrate medications for heart conditions. Normally, combining nitrates with Viagra or Cialis is dangerous and strictly prohibited because it can cause a severe drop in blood pressure. But Eroxon works locally and doesn't affect the cardiovascular system in the same way, so that risk doesn't exist. For men who have been told they can't use pills for safety reasons, this opens the door to a new option. That said, it's important to be realistic. Eroxon is not a magic solution. It doesn't instantly create erections without stimulation. You still need arousal and sexual activity for it to work. And while 60% of men saw improvements, that also means 40% didn't. Like any treatment, results vary. But considering the simplicity, the safety, and the lack of systemic side effects, even moderate effectiveness is a meaningful step forward. The fact that it's available over the counter makes it even more interesting. Men don't have to face the awkwardness of scheduling a doctor's visit, answering personal questions, and waiting for a prescription. For many, that barrier alone has kept them from seeking treatment. With Eroxon, the process becomes more private, more convenient, and more accessible. Erectile dysfunction is far more common than most men realize. By age 40, roughly 40% of men experience it to some degree. By age 70, the number climbs to 70%. The condition affects self-esteem, relationships, and overall quality of life. And yet, many men avoid treatment out of embarrassment. The arrival of an over-the-counter gel like Eroxon may help normalize the conversation. Instead of feeling like they need to hide or suffer in silence, men may feel more comfortable taking a first step. Another angle worth considering is how Eroxon fits into the broader history of ED treatments. Not long ago, the only options were invasive, surgery, injections, or vacuum pumps. The introduction of oral medications like Viagra in the late 1990s was revolutionary, but it also created dependence on pills with side effects. Now, more than 25 years later, the field is expanding again with alternatives like shockwave therapy, platelet-rich plasma injections, and now topical gels. Each new approach offers something slightly different, giving men more control over their choices. The bigger picture here is hope. For years, the message around ED has been quietly negative. Either accept it as part of aging or resign yourself to a lifetime of pills. Eroxon doesn't claim to cure erectile dysfunction, but it offers something practical: faster action, fewer side effects, and a way to regain intimacy without planning every encounter like a medical procedure. Right now, it may not be on every pharmacy shelf in the United States, but given its FDA approval and clearance in Europe, it's only a matter of time before it becomes more widely available. When that happens, millions of men will have access to a new option that could change not just their erections, but their confidence, their relationships, and their sense of control over their bodies. So while it's not perfect and won't work for everyone, Eroxon represents progress. For couples who value spontaneity, for men who can't take pills, and for those who want something simple and discreet, this gel could very well be the breakthrough they've been waiting for. Because at the end of the day, erectile dysfunction isn't just about performance, it's about connection, intimacy, and quality of life. And if a little gel can help restore those things, it's more than just a medical product. It's a small but powerful shift in how men can take back control of their sexual health.